Hello and welcome back to another episode of Freeze Drying Adventures. And today we are doing pears. So I wanted to show you a little how-to video and what I do to make pears in the freeze dryer. And I like them when they're just ripe, not overly ripe, because the freeze drying process actually makes them so concentrated. So we did some overripe peaches and the peaches are like popping candy because the sugars in them are so concentrated. And also when they're overripe, they have a lot more juice and liquid, which makes the freeze drying process a tad bit longer. And you can reduce that if you have some overripe or ripened pears. Just simply cut them a little thinner and the freeze drying process will go a little faster. But today I'm doing pears. They are actually on sale this month through Azure, and I bought this bundle of pears from Azure, and they have been so delicious. Some were really small, some were decent size, and I think I only had to actually throw out like one or two. So if you're watching this still in October, they are on sale currently, so grab some up. And my kids have ate through them way faster than I thought they would. So I am going to freeze dry what I have. And honestly, I don't know if it's going to fill all of my trays for my large freeze dryer. And if not, I'm not worried about it. I do have some apples in the fridge that I can freeze dry also. So I'm going to cut these up, show you how I lay them out on my freeze dried tray. And then I'm getting them in the freezer tonight. And then I will put them in the freeze dryer in the morning. And why I like to do that is because for me, most of my batches take between 24 and 36 hours. So I like to start in the morning so it's done the next morning or by lunchtime. So I don't have to be staying up late at night to get it out of the freeze dryer, or that it's like beeping constantly all night. But if it needs more dry time, I have plenty of time during that day to finish drying on and keep checking on it. So that's my system. That's what I like to do. But let's get these cut and on trays.
So as you can see, I did not peel my pears, and I could have because these weren't really super ripe, but they are a little bit more tender. And I only had one family member mention a couple of the end pieces. They didn't like the texture of that, but otherwise they were great. And another thing I forgot actually honestly to do is to dip it in lemon juice water, which helps the color retention. But I find just like dehydrating, you're gonna have a little bit of color discoloration, and that's totally normal. So I don't put too much effort into that per se. Here I'm showing you the cooling vacuum. I had put my trays in my stand-up freezer overnight and unloaded them. Here I'm loading my trays after that 15 minutes of cooling chamber. And I can share my links to all of my products that I use with my freeze dryer in below, but those stackables save us so much space in my freezer that they were well worth it. Now it's telling me to close the drain valve, which is on the side, and our hose actually goes down into that cabinet. My husband had drilled a hole, and you just lock it up and hit start, and it starts. If you're watching this and have a freeze dryer and you kind of have a certain routine that you follow with the time or the scheduling of your freeze dryer, I would love for you to leave a comment for other people that might be beginning their freeze dryer journey and to kind of help them.
Good morning. So it says my pears are done, and it has been 24 hours and 54 minutes with my extra dry time that automatically starts it. If I know I'm going to be gone, I set that for like 12 hours so I know that I have extra time. But I showed you where it popped up saying that extra dry time was going, and you can change that setting or you can pause it to check your food, but I let it go because we were making breakfast and having breakfast. So I'm going to hit my warm tray function up here, and then I need to open my drain valve so I can check the food. And if it still feels soft or anything, I'm gonna put it back in, but I'll show you in just a second. First, I'm gonna release my valve. That's my valve drain, and since I have it on a cabinet that we bought, I actually have just a 2-gallon bucket down here that my drain valve goes into. And after a load, just how I do things is I leave that open while we'll talk about this in a minute, but I'll leave that open while it defrosts. You can save 2 hours of electricity if you just leave it open and let it air out. I just tend to do the 2 hours of automatic dry so I can drain that and I can wipe it down and shut it down for the day. But you can leave the door open and let it air dry yourself too. And in the summer, of course, I can open my back door here and that heat will drain it out quickly. But I normally just do the 2 hour function to defrost itself, and then I leave my door open like I said. So it reminds myself that I need to empty that and wash the bucket out before I replace it.
Half-gallon mason jars seem to work the best with freeze-dried food, mostly because the size of the food that I do, and these wide mouth ones are so great because it's easy to get the food in and out. And after I fill it up, I have a tool that I'll show you here in 1 second. It kind of vacuum seals the air out, and it came with a wide mouth and a small mouth, which I think is great, but I wipe the rim a little bit with a finger or a towel, and then I put the canning lid on and then the vacuum seal, and you'll actually hear the change of the motor kind of when the vacuum, all the air has been released. And here I'm showing you kind of the process of.
Okay, I just finished up freeze-dried, so it gave me 2, probably 3 full ones, but my kids and I gobbled on some, so go figure. So I will put one of these in my rotating pantry right now, and then the other 2 will go in a dark linen closet that I have some freeze-dried food for, because we don't have a proper storage basement for canning or things like that, because that temperature down there fluctuates because our furnace is down there. So these will go in a linen closet. We'll eat these. We normally do a lot of fresh produce, but we do lean to these when we go on hikes or on the go, or if we run out of fresh fruit, we can do this. Sometimes I split my loads up and I keep some fresh and I package a package or 2 up to slowly build up that stock. I didn't this time because my kids actually, last year they didn't like pears. This year they gobbled them all up and I barely had enough to do a load. So hopefully I can grab another box or 2 from Azure this month, and I will specifically do a load that goes into long-term storage that we can pull from in case of emergency, or just if we're low on fresh food, I can pull from that. I hope you found this video helpful on how to freeze dry pears. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. If not, I will see you on the next episode, but you can also check out my playlist with all of my freeze-dried adventures so far. Have a great day.